You listen to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Beautiful, man. What is up, people? Welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast, episode 105, coming to you live on a Sunday evening. Well, not live when you're watching it, but you get it. On the heels of UFC 239, I am Matthew Wells. Sitting across from me, as always, Kendrick Johnson. Man, we witnessed one hell of a fight card last night.
It delivered from top to bottom. Saw GOATs, saw record-breaking knockouts, saw future Hall of Famers, saw Father Time. We saw everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was International Fight Week, so we actually did see Hall of Famers as well. You know, we new class of Hall of Famers, one of which is on today's show, Mr. Rashad Evans. Sugar Rashad Evans is on the show today, people. Round of applause for Sugar Rashad Evans. I still need to work on dropping these little sound bites, but these little sound drops. Also on the show today, we have Mr. Dean Thomas, a great fan of the show, one of the best coaches in the world, American Top Team, doing it big.
They showed up and showed out. If you don't know about MMA and don't know about American Top Team, you found out about them this weekend. They showed up and showed out in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
damn near made a perfect swing. Damn near.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that here in just a second. And, of course, our third guest on the show today is Mr. Juan Adams, who is taking on one of Dean Thomas's products in just a couple of weeks, July 20th in San Antonio against one Greg Hardy. So we talked to him about that and his preparation as well. Three great guests for you guys. You guys are going to enjoy it. But first, as always, we got to break down what happened this weekend. Nothing in boxing major happened, right?
Nah.
So it's all MMA, all UFC, and UFC 239 International Fight Week was a great event. The whole main card was fire. So we're going to start at the top and work our way down to talk about other things of significance. But at the very tip top, one Mr. John Bones Jones.
I got one word to describe his performance.
Santos.
Slippage.
How?
We're seeing that John is still the superior fighter, but he's not the superior athlete, and he's not getting rid of these guys. Slowly but surely. Other than the stop of Alexander, how many? I'm glancing at his record. I'm gonna pull you on the fly. Look at his records. His last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All his fights since 2013, other than the TKO of Alexander Gustafsson, have been a decision. And then you got the one with DC, the head kick, which got overturned. Mm-hmm. So that's 6 years worth of data. Pre-2013, submission Beto Belfort, decision over Rashad, submission Nito Machida, submission Quinn and Rampage Jackson, TKO Mauricio Shogun Hua, submission Ryan Bader, you get the drift, TKO Vladimir Mochenko, TKO Brandon Vera. So slowly but surely, Father Time's a few years away, but props to John being the GOAT that he is. He's adjusted his game. But he knows somebody's knocking on that door in the next few years down the line. So he's trying to delay it. He's already making adjustments. Props to him. He knows what he can and cannot do. And he kept that distance, fought very technical. Some people might say too technical, but he's still. So you can never be too technical. But there's a reason I keep telling you, he don't want to go up to heavyweight. He's going to have a lot of problems. Because he don't have knockout power. That's going to be a huge problem. If this guy was the most powerful guy he fought, imagine the DC's at 250, a Stipe, a Francis. He could do all that, T-kick and all that. They catch him one time, that's a wrap. He knows it, though. Props to him, he's not oblivious. That's why he's like, nah, I got a lot of things to do at 205. I don't want to move up. Props to him. He ain't trying to talk all this smoke.
I think one thing that people are discrediting from this fight is that he got hurt. Everybody's talking about Thiago Santos getting hurt because he wore it worse as he was limping around. He had to tear something in that knee. I don't know if it was a ligament or whatever have you, or if it was a meniscus, whatever. I don't know. Something got jacked up in that leg, and he couldn't continue to operate as a normal Thiago Santos. But John Jones got his legs tore up early by Thiago Santos. And I think he just put on a great poker face. And why do I know this? Because he had to go to the post-fight press conference in a wheelchair.
Did they both though? Did they both have?
They both did.
They both got wheelchair. That's crazy.
They both did. So that's why I'm not going to be too critical of John of this performance.
I'm not critical. I'm just putting the facts out there.
That's being critical. It's being critical because
he had to fight that way.
He fought injured. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Everything that happens, like there was an injury he dealt with through the fight. Same with Santos. If Santos was not hurt, he probably could have done a lot more.
But see though, both injuries would happen in the fight though. Because of what happened in the fight. That's why it's part of the fight.
I'm saying, but that spells out.
It was like
they both happened early in the fight. That spells out how the next 4 rounds are going to play out. So it's not going to be the same explosive John Jones. It's not going to be the same dude that goes in there and tries to take your head off.
True that, but I'm saying it's like they had a recurring issue that got caused because of what happened because of explosiveness. So you got to find a way to adjust. Pops to John. He's like, at the end of the day, I still got these bionic arms, and I'm gonna tag him. But and then like when he was making the fight boring, when he was making it easy, every time he kept him from going left and he cut off the cage, he does what I told you these other fools didn't do. He did last night. That's why he won. If he does not do that, it's and new.
My biggest gripe.
It's and new. If he wouldn't have cut off that cage the way he did, as technically as he was doing it, it would have been and new.
My biggest gripe with the whole fight was the fact that he didn't go for any takedowns. And the reason why he didn't go for any takedowns is because John Jones is stubborn as hell, and John Jones always wants to beat his opponents at what they're best at. Like, he knows he can go in there and take down a Thiago Santos if he wanted to. He knows he could do that. But what did he choose to do? He chose to stand with him for 5 rounds. Chose to be like, okay, I'm just gonna beat this guy because his best aspect of fighting is striking. I'm going to outstrike him. And how this is not just a theory, this is something John Jones confirmed himself in the post-fight press conference, saying, I felt I did enough on the feet, an area which he is the best at, where he is absolute best at, is the words that he used. So John has this thing which I think will eventually be the downfall of him whenever he does catch an L, if he does catch an L.
Hold on. Do you think it's going? I'm not saying it's going to be next fight. It might even be in the next 4 or 5 years. But do you think it's going to happen to him before he walks out that octagon for good?
It depends. We got to see fight by fight, like what's going on. I don't know. I can't make that prediction.
that ain't a prediction. If you got to wait, what happens?
We got to see the fights. Like, I don't know who's going to be fighting. Like, fight by fight basis, we got to see. And there's no telling how long John decides to fight. If John hangs around till he's 40, yeah, I will 100% say he's going to catch a loss. But this thing of him wanting to always beat his opponent at where they're best at versus I have the tools to exploit their weaknesses and in the fight right now, that's going to be something that catches up with him at some point.
No, what's going to catch up with him is as he get older, he's going to fight somebody that is going to have the same superior physical gifts that he has, but it's going to be a little bit younger, more hungrier, and more athletic. As he said before, he's not even the most athletic person in his family, and we know. So what if he catch somebody that is a legit fighter, that is more athletic than him, that has like an 87-inch reach, that can nullify that 83-inch reach, and that's in their 20s when he's 35, 36. It's due to happen. I don't want to skip, but Father Tom showed up again last night. They didn't show up on him, but Father Tom showed up again. For y'all who don't follow this, as y'all know, I cover more than one sport. I keep telling Matt, when you see, it don't matter, we can talk NBA, NFL, you see Drew Brees threw 3 interceptions last year to lose games. You see LeBron James getting hurt and missing 25 games. When you see somebody that's on that, what's my man Shannon Sharp likes to say, a pendulum all-time great. See stuff happen to them that you didn't see happen to their career, or a Hall of Fame type. In this case, that's when you know Father Tom's knocking on that door. That's what happened to Mr. Juan Luke Wacko. Probably future Hall of Famer. I say that he has had a great career, but we've never seen that happen. That's a sign. It's time to tap out, hang it up.
Said you weren't going to skip, and you skipped. Going to the co-main event now. We're going to talk about one Amanda Nunes.
The quotes!
Oops, we won't talk about that yet. Yeah, we're going to talk about Amanda Nunes, and you see the picture right there if you're watching on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Shout out to all the new subscribers.
Great shot, but who shot that? Was that Esther Lynn?
No, this is a UFC, probably Jeff Batari, I believe.
Great shot, yeah.
Fantastic shot, catching that head kick. Very reminiscent of one Holly Holm knocking out one Ronda Rousey. That's the vibes I got. I got Holmes Rousey vibes from this head kick. But the thing about this head kick, as spectacular as it was beautiful. It was the perfect counter to the Jackson Wink special oblique kick. We see the oblique kick from Jackson Wink fighters all the time. John Jones is the front runner using that damn oblique kick. People hate it. People think it's a dirty technique, whatever. But hey, you're in a cage fight. You're trying to fuck up the other person as best as possible. So, I mean, if you're gonna complain about somebody throwing a kick to somebody's knee, you might as well not watch the fights because people are throwing kicks at everybody's heads too. So, just keep that in mind. Nevertheless, this is the perfect counter to an oblique kick. She threw it, and if you watch the replay in slow motion, I wish I had it pulled up. I wish I had a clip of it. But when Holly threw this particular oblique kick, she kind of paused. As she brought her leg up, she kind of paused and hesitated for a second, and that gave Amanda that opening to get this result that you see right here. Bam.
We saw the finished product, but the thing is, she forced her to be hesitant, because had she not done that, she would have got caught with that right hand. She had to make her pick, because she had set traps where she was going to get it, because she was this much from missing probably about a minute or so before that. It looked like she threw it wild right. She threw it from her hip, but she said she didn't gauge it right. But she said she knew right there and then she had it. If you look at her post fight, she said, I open this all the time. I just missed her, and I knew that I was going to get her one way or another because I was setting multiple traps, which to me shows how much ahead of this game. Even I didn't think, and I've been on Amanda's bandwagon for a minute, that her cerebral mental game was that far ahead. Like, that was more impressive. We saw her bite down and go to war with Cyborg and live to tell about it. Last night was a masterpiece.
Yeah, 100%. It was a beautiful fight for her, and she's now, like you said, man, she's taking out all of them. She's taking out all the champions.
That's good. Every bitch him in the first round at 145 and 135. To me, that just show you how great of a fighter Valentina Shevchenko is.
Yes.
She went 8 rounds with this lady and has not, and not the fact that you could have got him like right nip and tuck the 8 rounds 4-4, but for one thing that hasn't happened, she's never been hurt.
Some people thought Valentina was
exactly, and she's never been hurt. And none of those 8 rounds, she's not even like at the round where she survived, you know? She ain't even hurt around Valentina, which makes it even more better.
Yeah. So she takes away a $50,000 bonus as well, Amanda Nunes, for knocking out Holly Holm. And what this means for Holly Holm's career is kind of crazy because, you know, shout out to Andreas Hale, man, because he put out this piece that just the headline alone is shocking, but it really makes you think, and it's really not that far off base if you don't agree with it even, is that Holly Holm is Buster Douglas of the MMA.
I can't say that.
How can you not? He brought up a very compelling question. That was my initial reaction, and then I thought about it, and I was looking. She fought the king at the time, or the queen at the time, and then took her out in spectacular fashion. Did something that nobody else had done. Same, Buster Douglas did something to Mike Tyson nobody had ever done. And then Holly Holm, after she did what she did to Ronda Rousey, she never had another moment after that. She lost the title, lost another fight, came back and won, then lost another fight, then lost another fight.
I see where you're going with it, but y'all are looking for the context. She didn't start the sport till she's effing 30. Like, everybody's goal was to be
a professional boxer, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but this is MMA, bro. She came in to get an MMA belt to do what nobody's done, and get one in boxing and MMA. It wasn't to really be like 18, however champion she is in boxing. So once she accomplished that, she kind of was set. The rest is gravy.
But the fact remains, Holly Holm never defended a title. She lost more title fights than I think anybody else in the UFC history. I think that'd be Frankie Edgar. I hate to say it. Frankie is, I don't know how many title fights he's had.
Oh, maybe my man Faber. Maybe my man Faber too.
Faber's had what, 3?
He's had a few.
I don't know. If you're watching out there,
but look who she's losing to. Though.
I gotta fact check this right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But look who she lost to. Everybody she lost to is a future Hall of Famer though. She's not losing. Look who she's losing to. As far as the champions.
I agree with that.
Valentina. I agree. Future Hall of Famer.
I'm just saying.
Nunes, Cyborg. And none of them embarrassed her either, except for last night. Last night, the first time she seriously got embarrassed.
Misha Tate didn't embarrass her by choking her out in the final round of a fight.
It's one of those things that
clearly winning.
Exactly, you guys clearly winning. So she made a mistake, but she didn't get embarrassed.
That's embarrassing. You were clearly coasting to winning a fight, and you get tapped out in the last minute. That is embarrassing. There's no way you cannot say that's not.
I'd rather that happen than what happened last night. I'm just saying.
You would rather get choked out unconscious versus then get caught with a head kick after you're winning.
You can run that back immediately. I would want no parts of it. I guarantee you, if she had to pick, who would you rather face again, Holly? Guarantee you she's saying Misha. Guarantee she will see what she saw last night, because had she not got her hair kicked off, it would have got knocked off Cyborg style, because she was getting ready to serve her up a 2-piece anyway. I saw that coming. I was surprised she didn't catch her.
I agree that I thought Amanda was going to win the fight regardless, but the decision, like, once we all look at it, once it's all said and done, I like Holly Holm a lot. I think she's a fantastic fighter.
Before she retired, though, when was she retired? That'd be 300. She got everybody 135 hit on her mantle. That would be cold blooded, and she retired. Boy.
I mean, look, she is probably not too far off from retirement, regardless.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for you, Amanda Nunes is for her legacy. Like, what she's doing is, if there's going to be somebody we don't know that's not in the UFC now, some lady, regardless of who she is, she's like making the thing of, you're going to have to go to get this world title for me, you're going to have to do a lot of shit. You ain't going to have to, you got to do it in multiple weight classes, and you're going to have to do it spectacularly. Because say if somebody come and they knock off like John was doing, when this is more established 15, 20 years from now, we got more Hall of Famers. They knock off 5 or 6, but they're getting decisions. She's knocking them off the first round. Yeah. Like, she's putting her case, like, even more than John to me, as if the gap is getting further.
That come up too.
Huh?
That was a question I saw come up too. But, like, just look at this real quick, and then we'll move on. Holly Holm defeats Ronda Rousey. After that, she loses to Misha, loses to Valentina Shevchenko, loses to Jermaine Durandamy. Comes back and beats Betch Correia, who is Betch Correia at this point. Gets that win. Loses to Cyborg. Beats Megan Anderson, which, again, Megan Anderson, who is she at this point? Unfortunately, very cool person. Very nice person.
Not ready.
I mean, she's got a lot of work to do. And then loses to Amanda Nunes. Listen, I think
but everybody she lost to is a former champion now.
I agree with you. And here's the thing, is that Holly Holm is, like, if there's a gatekeeper you can put, she's the gatekeeper to the title. When you talk about a gatekeeper,
and women
in general, when you generally talk about a gatekeeper, you're talking about a gatekeeper like into the top 10 or a gatekeeper into maybe the top 5. We see those from time to time. But Holly Holm is the gatekeeper to the title. Yeah. Like, there's nobody that's not a champion that's going to beat her. That's the thing. But how will that reflect on her in history when she only won one of these title fights and lost every other one? And never defended her.
But that's what's leading. Look at it this way. This is why I look at it. The three that's beating her the most decisively are the 3 best fighters in the world right now. Would that be easy to say? Valentina, Cyborg, and Amanda? 3 best fighters in the world. She beats Correia. I had her beating direct. I was there ringside 3rd row in Brooklyn. She got robbed.
Misha Tate finished her. What do you mean? Valentina, that was a decision.
I'm skipping from that since Valentina. I'm going to say what's 2016. Like, since that's 3 years ago, almost exactly. So since that fight against Valentina in the last 3 years, she's fought 3 best women in the world. And she really beat Jermaine, and then she beat the 2 that are not top champions. So it's not far fetched. I won't say that, but I still think it's not fair.
I don't know. We'll see.
Now, she was getting knocked out. The same as if Betch Correia was doing what Amanda Nunes did to her, that's Buster Douglas.
I don't know. It's an interesting debate. It's an interesting argument, and I think that history will. And it's not a bad place to be in history because people still talk about Buster Douglas. Like, he had a moment. Like, it's all about having a moment in combat sports where people talk about you forever and ever. Holly has that.
But she was already established, though.
She has that. I'm talking about the particular moment. She has the moment of head kicking Ronda Rousey into oblivion. That it will live on forever. Buster Douglas has that moment of knocking out Mike Tyson. That will live on forever and will be forever conjoined with the stories of those other fighters. So, does that mean that, she's necessarily like a bad fighter or anything? No, I'm not trying to say that at all.
Is she a Hall of Famer?
I don't know. It depends on where she goes on from here, because obviously she's not going to be in a title fight anytime soon. If she has another 3 or 4 fights, maybe we see her in another title fight, but she's got to win all of them. And she's got to do it convincingly, too. Can't be decision wins. Can't be a decision win over a 3-round fight in Megan Anderson. You know, she's got to go out there and finish.
The Megan Anderson fight was at 145, though.
What?
It was at 145, though.
Still. You know, it's just a thing.
Man Nunes got you think everybody could do that. It's only one Man Nunes.
So let's move on to the highlight of the night. Highlight of the night. Highlight of the year.
It's KO of the year.
Highlight of the year, man. Ben Askren got flattened in 5 seconds by one Jorge Masvidal. And, I mean, just as I was getting ready to sit back, it was time to jump out of the chair. I was expecting this to be a lot different fight.
I didn't...
I mean, we didn't get anything.
I of course didn't say 5 seconds, but I'm like, what's this fool doing when he had his hands behind his back? He knows something we don't know. When he was, I knew he knew something we didn't know. I just didn't know he knew that.
It was
man sitting there, Carolina Coleman came in style with the hands behind his back, and didn't hear him to talk about it. That was all part of the plan. And said, yeah, I told him, go get that food. He thought he was going to get a 3-piece. I gave him the whole effing MGM buffet. That's what he got.
Love it, man. Fantastic. Like, I mean, you can't ask for something better than that. And I don't think anybody's ever going to beat 5 seconds. I think that's...
I think it should be 3. If you look at it, it's really 3.
Should be 3.
If they went back and switched it to 3, that would be legit.
Yeah. No doubt. Jason Herzog, I believe, is the referee, and he definitely came in a little slow because he was unfortunately he was on the wrong side. Had been fallen in his direction, it would have been a 3-second stoppage because he would have saw his body completely seized up. Ben fell away from him,
and his toes went up like this.
Yeah, Ben fell away from him, like his whole body locked up. He was done.
But when you see,
and that was 3 seconds in.
When we saw them up to, it's like I know Ben Askren as a great wrestler, but he don't even look like an athlete, first of all. I know.
Can't judge that.
We saw that in boxing.
Cannot judge that. I mean,
but one thing you can't judge is you can't be one-dimensional and think he's going to be a world champion. And if you somehow do get a belt, you won't be up to for longer. For instance, Nagano, and you got Ben Askren. You got to be well-rounded in today's MMA if you plan on being like something legendary, like Amanda Nunes or John Jones or somebody like that people talk about for years to come. You can't just be a good grappler. You can't just be a good striker. And I think it was due to catch up with him. Robbie damn near caught with him last time.
If you guys have not seen this, you gotta. He was practicing the knee. He was practicing that exact same knee. I think this was at the UFC Apex or at the Performance Center rather. Practicing this knee with Mike Brown on Thursday. How crazy is this? And this is exactly what happened. And it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I practiced that. It's another thing to have video evidence of you practicing that exact same thing.
Why y'all people act like these fools don't have video evidence? If they pull off when the lights is on, they just 98% of the time, they just, regardless of what sport it is, it could be hitting a 3 fall in the cloud in the basketball. Cats don't just show up and do some shit on that high level.
Talking about the
Why do you need video evidence though?
The fact that he said, because we hear people say that all the time. Like,
okay. All you gotta do is put that GIF. He did it. It wouldn't count.
Okay, Kendrick.
Why do you need proof that he practiced something?
Because it was the exact same thing that happened in the fight. That's what's crazy about it. If you're not impressed by that, I'm sorry. You're just not impressed by that.
They all practice shit that they gonna do in the fight, regardless of what it is.
They don't always practice that exact same scenario. Like, this is a rare thing to see.
It may not be a flying knee, but when they finish people, I'm pretty sure
Thank you for finally agreeing with me. But anyways, so that
I don't think it's a big deal.
That shocked the world. You don't think a lot of good things are big deals. This is nothing new. Anybody that watches the show knows that you don't think a lot of interesting stuff is a big deal.
That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he trained to do. Why don't he fit video proof? I saw it last night. When you doing something that's never been done before,
we're gonna move on.
You're doing something right.
What you kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier that we did want to talk about real quick because we are running up on time before we get to these interviews is one Mr. Luke Rockhold made his debut at the UFC, at light heavyweight, and it didn't go very well for him.
Father Time knocked on that shoulder.
You say Father Time.
When have you ever seen this happen to this man? They got starts like that. We seen them get knocked out. Not like that.
Yeah, it was a lot worse when Michael Bisping did it. It was a lot worse than Michael Bisping did it. So, yeah. Rockhold does not have a chin. And that's the thing. I thought, the way this fight started, I thought he was going to have one of his throwback performances. Came back out, started using the wrestling. And
well, you think was he wasn't doing no work though. He was getting great positioning, but this ain't a wrestling fight. He had great positioning. He was
trying to complete a takedown,
but he wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't doing no work.
He was trying to work for a takedown.
Trying and doing are two different things.
I understand that, but if you're trying to work for a takedown, how are you expected to be throwing strikes while you're trying to get a takedown?
Well, why don't you just go on and do some damage on the cage when you had him pinned up for 2 minutes?
Because he was still trying to get a takedown.
Do some work.
Still trying to get a takedown.
Do some work.
But he was looking good throwing the kicks and everything.
Yeah, he did good the kicks.
This is the issue. Like, this right here is going to be kind of I don't want to say it's a preview, but this is the type of thing I'm talking about when guys who may be father time, maybe knocking on that door. I will maybe. But this highlights the fact that there's no gimmies in the UFC. When we talk about Uriah Faber coming back to fight a Ricky Simone, this very type thing could very well happen to him, where this young lion, this solid fighter in Jan Blachowicz, gets him out of there. Ricky Simone could get Uriah Faber out of there. There's no gimmies in the UFC. Not like in boxing. There's no tune-up fights. So if you come back and step inside that cage, best be prepared to be fucked up. So it's a thing, man. Rockhold, you got caught. Again, I don't want to say he's done just yet. I don't know. Dana White's calling for his retirement.
Just saying.
Dana White's calling for it. I don't know if I disagree.
And just because Father Time hits you on the shoulder doesn't necessarily mean you have to retire. It means the best days are behind you. You will never be that person you were in your prime.
Father Time definitely tapped on this man's shoulder, and this is the last thing we're talking about before we get to these interviews.
He's been tapped on him. His best days been behind him for the last 4 years. I saw him in a UFC 166 against Gilbert Menendez, another person who needs to hang it up. And I saw that crazy war, and neither one of them been the same since that. And that was like 2013.
Yeah. Excuse me. Diego Sanchez needs to hang it up because not only can he no longer compete at the highest level of the sport in the UFC. The UFC has some fighters on the roster that are there to fill up cards, and they're not going to be fighting for a title. They're older fighters, whatever. Diego Sanchez needs to hang it up because Diego Sanchez is going to be the poster boy for CTE in MMA.
He didn't even beat him last time. I've seen it way worse. He got manhandled.
Have you listened to him in an interview?
That's true.
I mean, listen.
I'm saying though, but I see what you're saying. But I said last night they add to it. That's
because Chiesa took it easy on him. I would say that Chiesa took it easy on him. He let him make it. I will just say that.
Why didn't he get him up out of there? If you that guy, you got to get something up out of there.
Because Chiesa's a nice dude.
But yeah, you get him out of there. You don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about giving no trouble.
He understands that Diego is a legend in the sport. He didn't want to hurt him. Maybe he feels bad for him. I'm not putting words in Michael Chiesa's mouth, but the way I saw it, I saw Michael Chiesa taking it easy on Diego Sanchez. That's what I saw. That's how I look at it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. But the fact that Diego Sanchez sounds literally like CTE is like going to fully set in at any moment now is very concerning. Very concerning. And yeah, he's always been out there. Even from Tough One. Dude was always doing like cartwheels in the yard, screaming yes, walking. Like he's always done crazy shit. But the fact is,
we had one dude in the corner last night that looked odd as hell.
My point, I was getting to that. The fact that this man made a conscious decision to leave one of the best gyms on the planet in Jackson Wink to go have one corner man, which is one dude that has never had any MMA related experience ever in life, is very concerning. He made a conscious decision to do that. I'm done with Jackson Wink. I'm going to go find this random dude. And that's where we at. But it's crazy that, he's had a fantastic career. Yes, he's a legend of the sport. Probably going to be, he already is in the UFC Hall of Fame this weekend for his fight with Clay Guida. So, listen, he's never going to win a title. I mean, it is what it is. But what are you doing at this point? What are you doing? Like, I'm seriously concerned for his mental well-being, and he's already, to me, going to be that poster boy. And I've said that for years. This is not a new revelation. I've said this for a long time. So, I'm ready for him to hang it up.
Before we get out, props to Mike Brown. That dude's had a hell of a 2019. To me, it's a neck and neck. It ain't even close between him and Eric Captain Auerbach. If I put your name.
That was not close at all.
Okay. That's got Captain. They were the two best trainers right now in MMA this year, 2019. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of 2019 go. But it's going to be them two, one of them two.
Yeah. It will be. There's a lot more stuff that happened at UFC 239, but hey, we don't break down entire cards here. That's not what we do at Slip and Dip Podcast.
We actually talk to the people. Other people talk about these people. We talk to them. Check the library.
Yeah, we talk about the biggest stories that were interesting to us. If you are looking for full card breakdowns, I can send you to many other shows that do it well and that will do it a lot better than us. I'm not trying to joke here. I'm just saying that there's other podcasts out there that do it a lot better than us when it comes to breaking down fight by fight. So if you want those suggestions, leave a comment below and I'll send you that way. But what we do, we talk about what catches our eye, and then we talk to the people like Kendrick said. So we have Rashad Evans heading your way with that newly minted Hall of Fame trophy that is being mailed to his home right now. Dean Thomas getting ready to head down to San Antonio in a couple of weeks to corner Greg Hardy. And Juan Adams, who will be in the cage standing across from said Greg Hardy. So
Matt picked him over antagonizer this week. Just watch.
Yeah, it's fun times ahead. But anyways, we're approaching rambling status. It's been 30 minutes already. We're gonna get you to these interviews after I tell you to subscribe to the channel. After I tell you to go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. Leave those comments. Leave those likes. We want to hear from you guys. So help us out. And if you're feeling benevolent, we got the Cash App link in the description below. We got the Venmo link in the description below. Hit us up. Show your love for the show. We would appreciate it. It all goes right back to the show. Reinvest it right back so we can keep making great content for you guys. Anything else?
We covered this.
It's interview time. Enjoy Rashad Evans, Juan Adams, Dean Thomas. Until next week. Peace.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip Podcast, making his second appearance on the Slip and Dip. Former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world and newly minted UFC Hall of Famer, Sugar Rashad Evans. Thank you for coming on, Sugar. Congrats on the great honor, being just a great guy. I always tell people, Rashad's a Hall of Famer in and outside the cage, for people that don't get a chance to meet you like we do.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. It's been one heck of a weekend, though. I'll tell you that, man. It's been something that I couldn't even ever imagine I would feel. To be honest, man, it's just surreal. Just being able to have that accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? I put so much hard work into for this dream, and to have that as a final result, it was amazing.
I feel cool for your speech to go viral, figuratively and literally, for what you said and what happened. You went double viral for your words. You said it sounds like something that's once in a lifetime. Like, you cannot predict that in any shape, form, or fashion, any level.
No, not at all. I couldn't even foresee that at all, to be honest, man. Honestly, I was so nervous to do the whole speech and what that whole day was going to be like. I was like, man, I was like, God, just put the words on my tongue and just, I hope I speak from the heart. And, when I got up there to speak, I was just like, I was nervous, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to speak from the heart, and whatever comes out, comes out. There's people here that love me, and I'm sure the words will be able to find a way to hit their hearts as well. And it did.
Yeah, it was really nice to hear from Trevor Whitman right ahead of time as well. He was giving us a lot of beautiful insight from his perspective as well. So, what was it? Well, I mean, was it always going to be him, or was there anybody else? Like, how did you come to the decision of making sure Trevor was going to be that guy to do that for you?
It was either going to be him or Mike Van Arsdale. It was going to be one of those two, or even Kamaru Usman. But I just didn't want to put too much pressure on Kamaru. But it was going to be one of those three guys. But Mike Van Arsdale is a guy that I wish that he could have been there and stuff like that. But him and I haven't really talked too much lately. But we're still cool and everything. But just life just brings you in different directions sometimes. And he's busy doing this thing. So it was just to hear Trevor get up there and speak like that. It made it. See, here's the thing about it. Like, it's just so like I just felt it's so hard to put in words for me, like the feeling that I have just knowing that just the feeling of being appreciated like I was, and just knowing how my friends and my peers look at the things that I've done.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, I think he's surprised everybody by not only by the things that he was saying, but his cadence as well. Because whenever we have Trevor on the show, he's a lot more animated, speaking a lot quicker. So he really took his time and did it right for you. So that was pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, man. That whole event though was an amazing thing, man. And all those guys that I got inducted with, that was special, man. And even being inducted with my buddy Michael Bisping, man, that was a big deal because, over the years, Mike is one of those guys who's just grown on me, and I'll consider him a good friend of mine just because, whenever we do spend time together, it's always genuine, it's always real, and and we've gotten to know each other just by working together for so long. So, it was pretty cool to have that experience with him.
Well, so how's it cool to be a legit pioneer in and out the cage? Because now that you and John back on good terms, John spoke about it, DC spoke about it. For all these brothers that come behind you, even like somebody DC who's technically a little bit older than you, they all look up to you because you were that guy that paved the way in and out the cage. And basically, in my opinion, for me, it was you and Rampage before I even start covering the sport as a professional. Y'all were two guys. I'm like, I gotta see these two brothers regardless sometime in my career. So it was cool to get to see y'all fighting and everything. But it's just been awesome to see how you've been a role model inside and outside the cage and being a true pioneer. Is that something that you envisioned, or you just you embraced it and rolled with it? Like I said, you got somebody DC who's older than you that looks up to you. It's
something I didn't really foresee happening. It's kind of something I just kind of roll with because of the fact that I never knew what this journey with MMA was going to take me, and I just only knew one thing. I was going to give it my all, and I was going to enjoy myself doing it, And that's what happens when you enjoy yourself doing it. You just get lost in the time, you get lost in your work, and then your work becomes a pleasure. And then before you know it, you affect the lives in a positive way. And that's what it's been like for me. Just being able to affect those lives in a positive way, just because I came from a pure place when I started competing. And to hear my guys like, DC and all these young brothers coming up talking about the impact I had on them, that means a lot to me because, when I started off, there was no me, and I know what it would have meant for me if I would have had somebody that I can look up to and be like, oh man, that's who I want to be like,
Because technically, the last I know you probably heard that game of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's how the light heavyweight division is kind of, because the last 4 champions have been attached to you, from yourself to you passing the Machida. Then you got John, and you got John and DC going back and forth. You got a hand in all that. It's kind of crazy in a weird way.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. It is crazy, man. The era that we had, man, it's been hanging around for a while. There's a lot of good guys in that time era, and it was good to see John Jones, already working on his third, I guess, set of 205 pounders to work through, and it's interesting because, you see John as a different fighter than he was, and these young guys, they still are going into the cage very afraid of him, so he still has that advantage. But it's great to see John still going in there and getting these guys. Yeah,
100%. And of course, he did defend as well. A lot of criticism coming out of the fight, but he still walks away with the title. Do you, like, as a fan of the sport now, do you want to see him move up to heavyweight?
I do, but honestly speaking, I think there's a lot at I think there's some matches for him at light heavyweight that he can definitely, that can definitely challenge him, and I think that fight with Thiago showed that. You know what I'm saying? Thiago,
sure. Yeah.
He started to believe in himself a bit towards the end of the fight, but Lord knows how that fight could have been different if he would have came out the gate believing in himself out the gate, and would have fought from that standpoint instead of trying to watch out for John. I can tell. See, when I watch the fight, I can tell that when here's the thing: when you fight somebody as dynamic as John, it's so hard for your coaches and the people who are preparing you for the fight to get you to not watch the guy while they're getting you ready for them. Meaning that they all say, "Oh, he does this, he does this, he does this. Watch out for this, watch out for this." And then you do that. You watch out for that. And then when you're fighting, you're watching out for that. So literally, you're watching your opponent do all the things that your cornerman told you to watch out for. And that becomes a hindrance because if you're watching your opponent, then that means that you're not setting up your own stuff. That means that you're not, thinking offensively minded. And you can kind of see that's how Thiago was thinking a lot in that fight. But then you kind of see there were spurts where he's like, you know what, I can do it, and he'll come forward with a barrage of punches. But it wasn't the same, it wasn't the same Thiago till like towards the end where he realized that, hey, I'm still in this fight, and this guy is, he's backing up for me now.
Yeah. Matt always talks about how John makes everybody a sparring partner. You just broke down why he make him a sparring partner. It's kind of like that's why I like when you say exactly what you're saying. That's why they become sparring partners instead of fighters.
Yeah. yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I think that that was. See, here's the thing about it. I understand, like. It's got to be so hard to be John Jones, being in that position with all that pressure on you and stuff like that, and it does get hard. And you can see the look of relief in his face after it was over because it's like he knew it wasn't his best performance, but he was happy he got through it, and he was willing to take that performance, even though he knew he probably could have done better, because he was happy to get through it, just because. It has been stressing him. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like fighting is starting to take on a little bit of a different face for him. I believe,
I keep telling Matt that person that person that got his number when Father Tom taps on that shoulder in about 4 or 5 years is probably about 21, between 21 and 23. Got less than 3 fights. We don't know who they are, but we'll know who they are come 2024 when they tap on that shoulder.
I'm sorry, what did you say again? I'm sorry, what did you say? I missed that.
So I tell Matt, because we always talk about Father Time moments. Like we had one last night with Luke Whitefall.
Oh, yeah.
I said that person that's going to be John's Father Time moment is from 2021 and 24. We don't know who the hell they are right now. They probably got less than 3 professional fights. But when they show up in 2024, 2025, we're going to know exactly who that person is.
Yeah, I mean, and that person can be that can be Johnny Walker. You know what I'm saying? That can be one of these dynamic or Reyes. You know what I'm saying? These guys are some big guys. These guys are some nice sized guys that can scrap. So I think John has a lot cut out for him at the 205 weight class, and I think now competing for him is a bit different just because he's gotten older. You know what I'm saying? He's gotten a lot to fight against. Is even his own success. And me saying this is not saying that John Jones cannot do it. It's just me highlighting the fact that competition changes. And it changes the longer you be in the sport. It changes with your experience in the sport. With your ups and your downs in the sport. So now you're starting to see some of that in John Jones, where it seemed as before he was almost unflappable when it came to whatever he did in the cage. It seemed like before he can have all these distractions on the outside, but when it came to the cage, he was always going to have that crystal clear focus. But, the fight last night showed that it's a bigger process than it's ever been.
Yeah, no doubt. Does seeing fights like last night, because like last night was the main card of last night was incredible from start to finish. From a new record to obviously the title fights, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm. Does any of that stuff still give you that itch, or are you happily like out the door? Especially now that you got that Hall of Fame trophy in your trophy case.
No, I'm happy. I'm happily out of it. I'm happily out of it. I watch it and I do feel the itch. I do look at those guys and walking and they're making that walk down the carpet. I mean, down the carpet and everyone's cheering for them. I still do feel it because that, like, what makes me love fighting was just the personal side of it. The point where I felt as if like I was, fighting against myself when I had to fight my doubt, when I had to fight all these things that gave me reservations and that gave me, made me feel like I couldn't do it. When I got a chance to win after I had those feelings, then that was the victory. That meant more to me than the paycheck that I received, because that feeling would last forever. It'll last for a long time, and it'll fill me up every single morning, every single time I think about it. And that's the beauty of fighting. But then you have the flip side of that where you lose a fight, and then you have to deal with the depression that comes with that, and climbing off and getting that monkey off your back, Yeah.
So did you ever see, I mean, obviously, like, you are where you are now, UFC Hall of Famer, former UFC champ, all that stuff, but did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine you would be sitting in the studio with Mike Tyson next to you with weed in the air?
Nah. I never imagined that. I grew up a big Mike Tyson fan. My father had me watching Mike Tyson at a very young age, and he was Mike Tyson. Honestly speaking, he was one of the guys that my father would have these fights, and we'll all come over and watch them. So our family would get together around Mike Tyson fights. So, Mike Tyson was a big deal in the family. And when I first started fighting, I watched Mike Tyson videos all the time. Ali Delabiz would tell you that, because we were training together at Jackson's. And he was like, "Oh man, you love Mike Tyson." So me being able to do that show with Mike Tyson, me getting a chance to know Mike Tyson, is surreal, and it's a constant reminder to me of just how far I've come in this whole entire game. How far I've come in my life, and just how amazing God is, just for allowing me to have this experience in life. It's been a beautiful life.
Well, Rashad, did you get some of your friends in, because I met you through Eric Williams, the photographer of the Stars, and your girl Sherry Spencer. Were they able to come out there and see you this week? I know you got a lot of people out.
No, they weren't able to come out, but I had some family members come out and stuff like that, and some of my old friends that that's been with me for a long time. They came out, but some of my friends, they missed it. Some of my family, they missed it. They had a lot of other things going on. I couldn't get mad with them. It's a busy weekend, 4th of July weekend, holiday and stuff like that. So I get it, but I appreciate, those who did come, and I appreciate those who didn't come and just sent me a text saying, good job.
How you get those twists, man? A lot of people, they lose their hair. You looking fly with the twists. Early happy 40th to you. I know you turned 40 in a couple of months. Like you in 2019.
Yeah, man. It's getting to grow my hair has been one of the things that I've always wanted to do, but I just never had the discipline to sit down and doing it because because me training for fighting and stuff like that has always made it hard for me to do the style. But since I stopped, and I was like, you know what? Because I was shaving my head bald before I stopped fighting, and then for a while my hair was coming back really, really thin, like it was starting to go out. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I was going to shave it off again, but I was traveling, and I noticed that the areas where I thought were like balding, it was actually growing hair. So I was like, let me see how long this hair would actually get if I just stopped shaving it. And I just started growing it, and it grew in full. And I'm like, man, I got a full head of hair. and I'm damn near 40 years old. I'm like, I never grew my hair out. I was like, let me just give it a shot. Even if I look crazy, let me give it a shot. The hardest part, though, of it was that in-between phase, and I'm still in the in-between phase, but the early stage where I'm starting it off and people looking at my head like, oh, my God, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Because it looked, I had a little twist in. It looked crazy at first. People didn't understand it. You know, I looked as if like I looked like one of those Buddha dolls, you know, with my hair. But people didn't understand it, man. People talk all kinds of trash to me about it. Just you know, they'll tease me about it. I can't say talk all trash, but they'll tease me about it. And that's the part that got hard to work through. But I'm glad I did work through that part because I love it right now.
And the final MMA question for me goes back to, I know you're a historian of the sport. Does John have to get the heavyweight belt or beat DC at heavyweight, which would be DC now, to put that bar so high, if somebody come along 15, 20 years later and be in that GOAT status, that they're going to have to get 2 belts? You think that's going to be a prerequisite of him? Because that's kind of like the new thing. You got to have multiple weight classes. I know as you being a boxing fan, you know what's up with that. These MMA people are not doing that. They think it's quote unquote play out to be a champ. Because I can tell my co-host, if it was that easy, everybody be doing it right.
Yeah. Here's what I think. I think that what Jones have been able to do in the sport, I think his accolades and accomplishment, I think they speak for themselves, and I think they can stand on their own for a while. But as you mentioned, you know, we are entering a new era, and the new era is that, you know, you're not you got to conquer more than one weight class in order to be considered, you know, great. But if John didn't become a heavyweight champion, I still would look at him as one of the greatest fighters of all time, or as the GOAT. It's between him and Demetrius Johnson, and you know, it's hard to have this conversation and not mention Demetrius Johnson, just because of the fact that, you know, what he's been able to do, what he did. He may have not have had the competition or the killers that John faced, but at the end of the day, you know, being consistent and doing what he's done, you know, at a masterful level, that speaks a lot for who he is as an athlete. But I think honestly though, I think for selfish reasons I want to see that fight, and for selfish reasons I'm going to say Jones needs to go up and fight DC.
Yeah. Right there with you on that, man. Yeah, man. Well, Rashad, man, thank you for coming on the show once again, man. It's always great to talk to you. The trophy, do you have the trophy with you right now? Where's the trophy, the Hall of Fame trophy?
The Hall of Fame trophy was so big and heavy, man. I told him, I said, would you please mail it to me? Because, you know, the baggage fees ain't no joke.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah.
Next time we get you on, man, we gotta get you on video, man.
That's what we gotta get next time.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, man. I'm gonna try to figure something out so next time we can do the Skype.
Got you. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
All right, man.
Thanks again for the time, man. Enjoy the rest of your time out there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, indeed. Y'all take care.
All right, later.
All right, peace.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast, one of our favorite guests on the show, on the program, repeat guest, one of the best trainers in the world, one of the best coaches in the world, Mr. Dean Thomas. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all living?
They're doing good, man. Not as good as y'all team is out there, ATT. They showed up and showed the F out last night. Props to y'all.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, you know, for as good as we did, you know, George, you know, had a hell of a performance. Amanda had a hell of a performance. But you expected that. Maybe not so much as George. I mean, you knew that he could have won. You expected Amanda to win. But I was really proud of Maheta. I was extremely proud of that young man because, I mean, he fought the GOAT with everything he had. He fought a great fight. And he may not have won, but he won in my eyes. You know, I wish he had gotten the belt to show for his efforts.
His stock went up.
Great fight, yeah.
His stock definitely went up, and a lot of people are not remembering already. It's less than 24 hours away. They're already forgetting the fact that he fought most of that fight on one leg.
Yeah,
and still took a scorecard off of John Jones. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, here's a guy who lost to Eric Spicely.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he had some pretty sloppy fights with you know, Manoa and those guys, but he really gave his heart last night and fought a great fight. and I was really proud of him. I was very happy for him.
Then when somebody has a loss on their record, like even like that was a spicy fight. It's like only two maybe 3 years. It's a recent memory. What does that say about a fighter? Like Jorge, he lost to Wonder Boy. Does that mean that fighter was really that good, or that just what happens? Like when you look at people's records and you see some anomalies, or you see somebody like Wonder Boy that's legit, like wow, he was at the top of his powers there. Like what do you look at? Because you've been around the sport longer than us. When you see somebody's like, oh, how the hell did they lose to them? And then like how the hell if you didn't know who Kat Zingano was, how the hell Amanda Nunes lose to her? You know,
it's just. The fight game is weird, in football and basketball, right? These guys, they can lose 5 games in a row and still win not playoffs now. It's 4. You can't lose more than 3 in a row in the playoffs. But that's the way the fight game is. These guys, it's very difficult. Like there's a lot of luck has to be, is involved in the fight game. It's a matter of getting your stride. Like right now, George is caught a stride, but he's got 50 pro fights. He's been around forever. He's lost fights. He's won fights, but now he's in a stride where he's got momentum going for him. He's confident. He's figured some things out, and this is going to last for a little while. Hopefully, he can fight Usman while he's still in it. But if he doesn't, it may not run. It may run out. So it's just a weird thing. The fight game is a weird thing, man. There's so much luck involved as far as timing and just all these little intangible things that we don't really think about.
Yeah, shoot, luck and timing. I don't want to say that knee was luck because we've seen him we saw Mike Brown post a video of him training that knee, practicing that run across the cage
on Thursday night.
So I don't want to say that was luck, but the fact that hell, we don't see 5-second knockouts all the time. But he did it, led it so clean was crazy.
To be honest with you, and that was the right way to approach that fight. Mike Brown and him did a great job with George because, had he not have done that, it would have been a completely different fight. Like, I don't know who would have won. Like, George still could have won that fight, but obviously that was the most decisive way to win a fight against a guy like Ben Askren. But you got to think of it this way, too, is that, Ben Askren is not the most explosive guy. And when we saw him wrestle against Jordan Burroughs, what happened in that match? He kept getting taken down with power double legs because Ben just can't get out of the way fast enough of that explosion. And obviously George knew that. Now, instead of doing double legs, he threw a flying knee. Ben just he couldn't get out of the way of
it. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, man.
What do you think about these MMA people not getting hip to this is a violent sport? People don't have to like everybody. Like, oh, Masvidal's so gangster. Like I told Matt because he started to get onto the boxing side. He's just another guy in boxing. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then I think it's like when it was like, oh, that's disrespectful. Somebody talk about your kids and your ethnicity. You too can put them now and clown on them when you put them to sleep like that.
Well, I don't know what Ben said about his kids or his ethnicity. I don't know if Ben went that low, but I do know this though. Is that first off, when a guy wins, he has the right to celebrate any way he wants. Here's like Masvidal. It was months ago. He had been training for Ben for months. He put his time in. He put his work in. And when he wins, he can celebrate any way he wants. Now, I don't understand the people who can watch a man get knocked out, physically hurt, but then be upset by something that somebody said afterwards, just words. Right. You don't be polite. They're just words. He just knocked, like he could have killed him with the knee, but you're upset that he said words afterwards? I don't understand that.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. It is a weird thing. Especially considering, that's what Masvidal said that Dana White told him in the cage after the fight. He was like, just be nice to him. I just drove my knee through his skull. What do you mean?
Yes, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you want him to be nice to him. Like, it's okay to bash his head in, but you want me to say nice things to him afterwards? But again, that's the culture of what we do is, prior to the fight, it's okay to be mean. We appreciate that. We want that. We want them to be mean to each other. We want them to talk trash. Then we want them to kill each other. But as soon as it's over, you expect them to hit this switch and just be nice to them.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well,
It doesn't work that way.
the count was the trip to me. The 1, 2, 3. That was the highlight. I ain't never seen that. He cut his out himself. And then when he reenacted it, in case you missed the fight, I'm gonna reenact it for you. That shit was funny too. That was classic.
I mean, listen, Ben is a good sport. You know, I don't think Ben would take offense to that. Like, I'm not going to speak for him, but I don't think he would. I mean, here's a guy who rode a guy's back and started chanting USA. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, Ben is no saint in terms of how he treats fighters that he's beaten. So, and I'm not saying he deserved to be disrespected, but what I'm saying is he's a good sport. I think it's all a part of our sport. Trash talk before and after should be acceptable. You know, if you want to do something about it, listen. We're punching each other in the head, kicking each other in the face. You can't get mad at words.
No. I don't want people to get misconstrued here. I mean, there is something to be said for sportsmanship as well. But at the end of the day, you can't get mad at a guy if he chooses not to follow down that path when we're in a sport like this. You know?
Yes. Listen, if he wants to be nice, that's his prerogative. He won the fight. Yeah. He can do what he wants. He's the one who put all the time and sacrificed his entire life to win. And he wins. Let him celebrate the way he wants. It's his prerogative. It's his right. He's earned that right by winning.
100%.
He's a master of the mic. Why don't he talk, man? He's gold. My man said he thought he was going to get a 3-piece. I just gave him the whole MGM buffet. He wasn't ready for all that. That was classic right there.
I tell you what, that's an underrated part of his game is his ability to speak. And I've known that about Jorge for years, man, that he's very good on a microphone. He's very good on the fly. If you give him an opportunity to speak, he's going to kill it. He's so good at that.
Yeah.
Like, he been hanging out with the Charlos now. He fit right in.
The Charlos in him?
He fit right in with the brothers.
Yeah, I tell you, he's so good at that, man. He's sharp.
Has he been taking your improv classes with you?
He hasn't been, but I don't think he needs it. You know, he's one of them guys that just got it naturally. But you know, like when you grow up in the street and you're used to being roasted and roasting people, you just kind of have a tendency to think a little faster on your feet and have a little bit more ammunition. And you know, he's been in the street a while, so he has that ammunition. He's good at it.
That was gangster though. He came up with. I thought he was trying to be like Carolina Kovacevic with the hands behind his back. Like the fact that he broke down like everything from putting his hands behind the back to the actual knee high. How cerebral he was. I got even more respect for. I already had enough, but every thought from the time he got in that cage to the time they did the announcements or whatever and got introduced, he had every move plotted out and executed like a straight killer.
Yeah, and I will say this, you know, he's extremely comfortable inside of a cage. And when you see guys get in a cage and their body language is different, George isn't that way. He's the same anywhere he goes, which is why he's able to perform and execute at a high level consistently, is because he's not changing his demeanor. You know, like a lot of guys, they train one way, and then when they get into the fight, they get nervous, then they perform a different way. George will perform the way he trains. And if you saw his body language going into that fight, extremely comfortable, smiling. Like you said, he had his hands behind his back, leaning up against the face, just relaxed. I mean, like it was another day in the gym, just extremely comfortable. So for him to execute the technique was nothing for him. He didn't get nervous about it, and he sold it perfectly.
Right? So we talk about WWE, he sold it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your other protege in a sense, Miss Amanda Nunes. The champ got one new belt, one old belt. Rocking, you know, getting it done over Holly Holm, man. So anything shock you?
Can we tag team, Dean? How's it feel for somebody that you know more than us what she went through, that she's getting her respect? I think it's funny all of a sudden it's a big deal when she's stacking history. You know, yours truly and my guy over here been on it for the last year. We didn't just jump on that bandwagon.
No, I know, because we spoke about her before, and I'm so happy for her. I'm so proud of her. I mean, she's really, really, really done what she needed to do without selling out to herself. She's never sold out and felt like she needed to be anybody different. In fact, she got more comfortable in her own skin. And that's an important thing, is to be comfortable in your own skin. Like I talked about it with George. But she's comfortable in her own skin. She never sold out, and she fights so well. I mean, she's just a great human being to be around. I love her to death. I swear to God, I love her to death. I think me and her got a little crush on each other. Yeah.
Do you think Cyborg has a chance to get her if they rerun that? Because I watched that fight twice last week to get ready for this fight. My dad doesn't know nothing about MMA. He's like, I want to get hit by that chick. She bad business. He goes, that chick that hit her, like she can hit too. He don't know who neither one of them are. And I forgot that Cyborg two-pieced to her and landed both of them. And Amanda's technique comes in because she throws the 5-piece and lands 4 of them. If that gets flipped, it could be the opposite way around. Really, it was a lot closer than when you really look at it from the technical standpoint, which I'm pretty sure you have.
Yeah, I watched that fight quite a bit. I don't think Cyborg can beat Amanda.
Now she fight technically?
What's that?
Now she fight technically? And don't go up in there going crazy?
No, I don't think so. And then here's the reason why. Is I thought that Cyborg's best chance of winning that fight after studying Cyborg was to sit in the pocket and try to engage in a slugfest, because I thought she'd probably, have the size advantage and be the bigger puncher. And she lost that battle. That's the battle that she lost. I thought if it came down to a technical battle that Amanda would have the advantage, because I think Amanda's actually a little bit better technically all around in terms of MMA. Like her takedowns and, just a little bit better all around MMA. But I don't think Cyborg can beat her.
How she got better as a chess player? Because she said she basically Holly homed. So that takes a hell of a lot. I already knew she was a great athlete and all that, but her cerebralness and her chess playing style is on a whole nother level to go with that. Those one-hitter quitters that she got for power missiles in her hands.
Well, that's all it ever was with her. You guys spoke about it earlier about how did she lose to a girl like Kat Zingano. She lost to Kat Zingano because she wasn't comfortable. Yeah. She wasn't comfortable in her own skin. She felt like she was fighting somebody else's fight. Like they forced her to fight a certain way because they knew how good she was, so they pushed her a little too hard. When you let Amanda call her own shots, and this is kind of bad sometimes for athletes to call their own shots, but listen, you're not going to tell LeBron James how to play basketball. He's going to do his thing. When you're that good, you can call your own shots. And you let Amanda call her own shots, she's going to be unbeatable.
Yeah. I don't see nobody coming around. I think she retires without losing to anybody else. I don't see nobody.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, Aspen Ladd may be the only other person she hasn't beaten yet, but I don't see how she can be competitive against Amanda.
Yeah, I tweeted out last night she's going to be the first one to fill up the rubies on that new belt.
Oh yeah.
Tell me, would you be an historian of the sport? Does that make Valentina look that much better? Because we got these future Hall of Famers that didn't last around, and she's been 8, and she didn't get hurt in neither of the fights.
Yeah, I tell you what, Valentina, it does say a lot about Valentina, but this is something that we always known about Valentina. Valentina is really good. And I mean, I don't mean to say that as if we didn't think she was really good. But, I mean, she, from a technical standpoint, is better than all them other girls. I think from a technical standpoint, I think she's better than Holly. She's better than Jermaine Duraname. She's better than I think she's better than Cyborg from a technical standpoint.
I agree.
Yeah. It's just, she ran into Amanda twice. That's it.
Right. Because I told Matt it trips me out about Valentina. If you fight her at 125, like we're friends with Andrew at KGB Lee, you can't knock her out. If Amanda Nunes did, you can. So it's like you already know that's one less avenue to victory to her. So it's like, how do you beat them girls at 125? And then she's like a stone well killer. She said anybody in the top 10. I don't care. As long as they got a number by them, give it to me. So she come at you like a Russian assassin, and you can't knock her out. That's a lethal combination there, boy.
I almost think the gap between Valentina and the next best girl is bigger than Amanda and the next best girl at bantamweight. I think the gap is extreme. Like, I don't see any girl at 125 giving Valentina a problem, not even close. I think she might have the biggest gap between her and anybody else than any other division.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is also part of the problem, the larger issue, when people like to talk about Amanda's marketability and the opportunities that she gets, compared to other champions before her, one in particular in Ronda Rousey. it's going to be harder for her as her career progresses from this point because she's knocked off everybody. Like, there's not another big name out there that she hasn't knocked off. She's beaten all the former champions already. So I think I think we're going to see her, unfortunately for her, I think she's going to be in this place where she's going to be the co-main under a John Jones every time. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, you're right, because there's not a lot of compelling fights. And, they haven't done, they haven't really put a lot into marketing her per se. But a lot, again, and I've told you guys that before, a lot of it is on her too, because she's not the type of person that's going to go out and seek it. Like, I don't think she really cares. She just likes to fight, and she likes to have fun. The only other thing I think they can do, and which is what I think they need to do, is they need to have her own reality show. Have you ever seen her, Nina's Instagram? I mean, it's hilarious. She needs her own reality show. But other than that, I think Amanda is very marketable. I mean, she's an outspoken lesbian, who's a double champ. Like, how can that not have a market? I mean, it's Pride Month. How can that not be a market for that?
No, yeah, to be clear, that I agree with you. I'm just saying that's other things that other people are saying.
He talking about that on your Twitter, that Darren Ravel.
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
They just perpetuate the problem. Because it's all perspective.
But I'm neutral, but I can see where they're coming from, because you just a person that you watch sports general casually. You're like, this lady's whooping everybody. She got all these names. She's the GOAT of the sport. Why she ain't bigger? It's like we know why she's not, but I can see why people, it's not a prevention to me. I can see where they're coming from, because why isn't they? Isn't she? Is it because she's got blonde hair, blue eyes, because she gay? Like, it makes the UFC look bad because we got enough data that says if she was these things, she would be bigger without being as good. That's a fact. And I'm neutral.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, but it's all, like I said, it's all about perspective. You tell the people who to like sometimes, like if you just say, hey, listen, we're going to push her and you're going to like her, then people are going to like her because they pushed her. So, you find the market. There would be a market for her. Listen, like I said, she's an outspoken, openly gay athlete that's dominating the world right now. So how can people not get behind that if you just push it that way?
That's why you need to push this podcast on these nuts. I'm just going to throw that in there.
Yeah. I hear you.
So, coming up next for your next big, I guess the next biggest one, I don't know if it's the next biggest one. There's still an event or two between now and July 20th. But you got Greg Hardy coming back in action. Not the co-main anymore, but still on the main card against Juan Adams. So,
good.
How's he been looking?
He's looking good, man. Greg, it's always a lot of fun to work with him. And it's a pleasure to work with him. Like I said, I've always expressed that he's really coachable. He's, very gracious and everything that he receives from the coaching staff and his position on the team. And he's, you can tell that he's used to being in the spotlight. So, I don't have nothing to worry about. We just got to get this guy out of there. I mean,
so you don't like him as well. Do you not like him either? You would get up in there?
No, the thing is, like, there's no fight. Like, I understand possibly what the guy's trying to do. He's talking his way into a fight. But it's just, to me, it's like everything he said about Greg, he's the same thing. They have the same record. He's getting a spot on the main card. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how are you dogging a guy, but then this is the guy you want to fight?
Yeah.
He acts like he came up fighting MMA since he was a young boy. I mean, he's a new jack in the game himself. He's got the same experience as Greg. So why is he dogging Greg? I don't understand that. And he's been on an assault for like a year.
Yeah.
Like, man, Jesus. Like,
I think it's more so.
I don't know if he's a girlfriend.
Yeah, we know the real reason why he dogs him is because of because Greg's past and everything. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. MMA wise, it's like the records are identical. Like,
but what's that? Yeah, but what's that got to do with him? That's got nothing to do with him.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's got nothing to do with him.
No, yeah.
100. So, David, we're gonna have him on after you in a few minutes. What's your message for him?
For who? Juan Adams?
Yeah.
I have no message for him. I just don't understand his assault. You know what I'm saying? Like, how's that going to play out? Like, if Greg knocks him out, how's that going to play out for him?
been asking the black version.
Right. That's my thing is how's that going to play out for him? So again, like I said, I have no message for him. Like I got no problems with nobody in the game, but I just don't see how he came at Greg for over a year with this I don't know, this mission to shut Greg down, but he's in the same position as Greg is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, we're gonna see it. Obviously, I'll be in town. I'll be trying to kick it with you guys all weekend out there, down in San Antonio. Coming to Texas once again. You gotta come. We gotta have a reunion when we all three in the same city. I'll be in Vegas with the Pacquiao fight. You come to my town when I'm not around.
What is San Antonio like? I've never been there, man. I've been to Austin and Dallas and Houston. Is it?
Mucho español.
You've been to Austin?
Mucho español.
You've been to Austin, right?
Yeah.
It's an hour south of Austin.
Is it really?
Hop on 35 is an hour south.
Oh, okay. So that's probably a pretty cool city then.
Yeah, it's a very cool city.
A lot of Mexican food, and you better be bilingual for the week. That's real.
Right? Yeah. You'll enjoy it, man. You'll enjoy it. And, like I said, I'll be down there to kick it with you guys and, of course, watch the fights and take it all in. And, man, just excited to see this next chapter. American Top Team, champions on champions, doing it big. Joanna Jędrzejczyk's returning against Michelle Waterson.
Yeah.
Man, I think Michelle's in for a long night. That's like a genetic mismatch.
Yeah,
I was like...
I think that's a horrible mismatch for Michelle. She's a sweetheart, but, man, JJ is something else that if she's a little bit bigger than you, she's going to eat you alive. And I see her eating Michelle Waterson alive.
That's a tough fight right there. I will say this, though. If Michelle can get through it somehow, she cannot be denied a title shot after that. Like, if she can somehow get past Joanna, she's got to be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I don't know, man. I can't see that happening. Like, I've seen worse things happen, but I just don't know how that happened. I don't know how she beats, Joanna. I can't see it happening.
Yeah, for sure. One last thing before we let you go. The whole success of the gym this past weekend, it does create this like logjam at the top at welterweight, considering you got Masvidal up there claiming for a title shot. You got Colby Covington who got passed over. You got stripped of his intercontinental, his interim title. So it's like, there's a lot of different things that could come out. Somebody's going to get snubbed. Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt. So, I mean, do you have an opinion on this, or are you just going to sit back and just watch it play out and do your coaching thing where you fit in?
Man, we just sit back and watch it play out, to be honest with you, because, at the end of the day, Dana makes the decisions, and it doesn't really come down to, the fight as much as we think it does. It really comes down to what Dana wants to see. So I honestly think because of what Masvidal did this past weekend that he's probably going to get it, And timing, too. Like, if Usman's ready to fight, I think if Usman's ready to fight in a month or two, I think Masvidal gets that fight right away. But if Usman's not ready for a while, then there's some factors involved. If Colby comes out and beats up Robbie really bad, maybe Colby gets it. So we just sit back and wait and watch and see what happens. But, I'll tell you one thing, man, we're not slowing down as a gym. We're just getting better and better and better every year. We got big fights coming up. This was a really rough summer on us. And honestly, I thought we did very well closing it out with Amanda and the way last night played out.
Can you help us get Coach Mike Brown on? He had a hell of a year.
So you always ask me to get these guys on, and like some of them are just the hardest to get. But in terms of like,
we need a go-between. We need a liaison out there, ATT out there at Coconut Creek.
Mike Brown probably won't be that difficult to get on though. He's such a humble guy who just he loves his job. And I tell you what, like when we were announced as nominees for this, I almost went online and said, please vote for Mike Brown, because there's nobody I think deserves it more than him. He cares about these fighters so much. Like, I'm like, man, screw them guys. But Mike really cares about the fighters.
Wouldn't you say the two trainers having the best year before we let you go is him and I don't know how to say his name, Eric, the guy for Henry Cejudo's?
Alberson.
Yeah, they're having the two best. He got champs in two different organizations.
Yeah,
if you compare example him and Mike Brown as far as who will be trainer of the year, if you're looking at Universal MMA in 2019, wouldn't you say?
It's tough to say because I don't really know that guy and what he does with his athletes, So I just know what Mike does, and I know how much Mike how big of a part he plays in the success of his athletes because, some guys are just around and the fighters make the coach, So we can't confuse that. And I'm not saying that isn't the case with Eric. I'm just saying that's what the case is a lot of times, is that the fighter makes the coach. But I tell you this, Mike Brown really does make fighters better.
You can tell the fighters swear by them. Jorge and Amanda, Coach Brown told me what to do. That's after they thank God and their relatives. That's the next thing they said.
Yeah, between him and Dustin Poirier, he really did his thing this year.
Yeah, I can think of one shining example of the fighter makes the coach, but I will not go there and throw stones right now.
But you know what I'm saying. But Matt, you know what I'm saying. It's like that sometimes.
Yes,
it's like
of course.
Of
course.
I just kind of like the Dabo he said. He's talking about, hey champ, you're okay, even though you're down 10-8.
That's what it is. But yeah, Dan, man, we appreciate the time, brother. We will. I will see you in a couple of weeks down in San Antonio, and
yeah, man. Don't be a stranger.
Hey, you and Greg. If you and Greg get that dub, y'all come on that next Sunday.
Yeah. We got that. But maybe the next one after, because Greg disappears for a week. But then after that, we got that.
He really do.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Catch up with y'all.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast. He'll be returning to the Octagon in 2 weeks versus Greg Hardy on UFC on ESPN 4 in San Antonio, Texas. Mr. Juan Kraken Adams. Appreciate you coming back on, brother.
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm glad to be back on.
Was it very important to you to get back in the Octagon after your last rough outing, regardless if it was against Greg Hardy? I know you've been trying to get Greg Hardy since like 2017. Since he was an amateur, you've been trying to get him in. But is it just regardless of who it was, you want to get back in and get that bad taste at your mouth, or is it just how the schedule worked out?
It's just how the schedule worked out. Win, lose, or draw, I've always said I want to be an active fighter. So, that was one of my big complaints beforehand, is making me wait 5 months between fights. But I was really happy. They listened to me. They gave me this fight on 2.5 months, 2.5 months out, or just over 2 months out. So it was. I was shocked more than anything. I wasn't expecting it. Most people don't get what they ask for coming off of a loss like that, even though I felt I won the fight. But, that's my fault for letting it go to the judges. And, you kind of know going into somebody's home country, you gotta knock them out. You gotta finish it, or you beat them in a way that's so convincing the judges can't screw you over. And I didn't do that. So, but I thought I won. It wasn't one of those things where I was gonna scream I got robbed or anything like that, because I don't feel it was convincing enough to do that. But the fact that they, gave me a short notice fight right after against someone that I've wanted to fight for a long time, I guess it was a blessing in disguise.
Do you think this is gonna go to the judges' scorecard either way? Or y'all gonna be Nunez Cyborg too?
Definitely not going to the judges' scorecard for this one.
So, how does your training differ for a guy like Craig Hardy, who is going to be explosive and try to come in and take your head off, versus some of the other guys you've trained for in the past?
Well, for the difference between Greg is you really only have to prepare for one thing. He's got a right hand. That's it. With someone that's as unsound technically as he is, and with as little experience as he does have, it's not really much to train for. We work on my cardio a little bit more. Now, after that last loss, I kind of refocused my entire approach to camp. Prior to that, I was kind of just not really feeling it. Didn't really want to. It's not that I didn't want to fight anymore. It's kind of just like, why am I doing this? Or, you go. For the longest, I'm a very goal-oriented person, so my goal was just to get to the UFC. I got there faster than I expected, and it was kind of just like, oh, what do I do now? And when you set a goal, it can't be something that you just set spur of the moment. You got to put a lot of time and thought into it. And so, I've kind of refocused everything, reset some goals, and It's helped a lot this camp. Normally I get up to about 305, 310 between fights. This time I got to 288, and I just kind of been coasting there. I've been really building muscle, focusing on my cardio, focusing on the technique, and without that cut being as drastic as it normally is, I haven't been as miserable this entire camp. So, yeah, it's making me enjoy the sport again.
I know y'all not friends by any stretch, but it's the fact that he's an elite athlete like yourself, because when you get in the cage, you're always the better athlete. This time it's kind of like neck and neck. You got somebody from an athletic standpoint that's right on your level. Is that kind of like a competitive type thing? Like, oh, we're going to see who the real best athlete is in this division.
No, not really, because at the end of the day, the best athlete doesn't always win. It's the better fighter. And I firmly believe Greg can only win fights when he's the bigger, stronger, faster guy, and it's clear he's a front runner. He's a bully. That's all he is. That's why he hits women. That's why he tanked against Crowder, someone that wasn't afraid of him. If you're not afraid of him, he doesn't do well. You look at it in all his last opponents too. He hasn't really been hit ever. I promise you, I'm going to hit him, and I'm going to hit him often. And I'm going to hit him hard.
Yeah, man. So I know you've been obviously very vocal about it. You kind of mentioned it there earlier about getting something that a guy that's coming off a loss normally doesn't get. But you've been calling out Greg Hardy for forever, and here you are, and it's like, do you are you getting that extra smile when you're in training camp? Like, fine, I got what I wanted. Just like I get to go out there and show off my skills, like against this guy. And then not only will a win over him mean like you get to check that box off, but then everybody else in the sport that and the fans of the sport rather that are still on that side of Team F Greg Hardy, whatever have you. They're going to be like, you're going to have this whole extra fan base like start following Juan Adams because he's the guy that ended, Greg Hardy's run.
Yeah, that does add a little bit of push in there. It's really weird, like coming off of that loss. I'm a super competitive person, and it kind of made me, care about fighting again, so to speak. So, I want to go out and show. I already was more motivated after the loss, and I was actually already training when we got this offer. So that just added a little bit extra in there. And every time, I'm thinking about giving up or I'm quitting or, we reached that point in practice, I just think about, how little he's probably doing, how not seriously he's taking me. I mean, he asked for this fight. That's the only way that it would have gotten materialized as quickly as it did. I don't have that kind of pull with the company. So the fact that he probably asked for this fight means that there's a total lack of respect for my abilities, or his coaches think by some miracle he has a shot against me, and that pisses me off. So every time I think about giving up or going lighter, I think about that and gives me that little extra push. And I don't ever want to have another showing like I did in Canada. So this time I want to look better. I want to look sharper. I want to be there mentally. And if I'm not there mentally, I need to be able to produce even on a bad day.
Okay. Yeah, man. I tell you what, it looks like it was originally the main event or co-main event, but it looks like it got bumped down one. Have you been told that as well?
Yeah, we're the featured bout, so that's the one right before the co-main.
Yeah. Okay. Did they tell you why they moved it?
No, and ultimately it doesn't matter. I feel that at this point in my career, especially even coming off of a loss, I don't deserve a main event or co-main event spot. It's great to be on the main card, but that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is fucking this dude up.
My guy's gonna be out there for fight week, as he said multiple times. Do you think I might get into it leading up to the fight? Because you usually chill during leading up to the fight. You think he might say something or get that little look he get at you?
I don't care. Whatever he does isn't really going to affect me too much, mainly because I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize us walking into that cage. The end goal is him being locked in that cage with me. That's the end goal. I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. There's all kind of stuff that I could be throwing out there against him that I could be using against him. One of his baby mamas continues to message me on my Instagram. So, she's messaged me. I did the Ask Me Anything, and she put on there like, after you knock his ass out, can you please tell him his son's name? And she like put his son's name on there for me. I was like, God damn, like that is a jaded woman right there. But it's no, I'm not gonna do anything super extra. I'm gonna do some things that I think are funny that are kind of more back to me because, like I said, I'm having more fun again with this sport. Once I got to the UFC, I treated it a little bit too much like a job, and I have to understand. While yes, this is my job, it is something that I wanted to do, something that I really do want to do, and something that I enjoy doing. So the things that, even down to like the outfits and stuff I wear, it's little stuff like that that's going to be different for me this time. For my first 2 fights in the UFC, everyone will tell you like I was just kind of like down, I was always wearing, black sweats, black and gray clothes all the time. Like, I'm happy again. I busted out my headbands again. I'm having fun in training and I'm working out. So it's fun and I'm having fun again. And I'm gonna have fun during this media week. Obviously, I'm gonna keep the same energy I've been keeping. The weigh-ins, I'm sure he's gonna do something stupid. He always does something stupid with his hair. Wear his fucking white out contacts like he's trying to be Chris Brown or some shit. And people always ask me why I say like draw a Chris Brown comparison, and it's because Chris Brown also got arrested for domestic violence, so that's why I use that comparison. It's very pointed. It's not just a random one, and it's also, what type of grown ass man? The man's what, 30, 31 years old, wearing white out contacts and shaving lines in his eyebrows. Like, what are you doing here?
we definitely know that you're a real one. Do you think MMA needs more real people? Because me and him both cover both MMA and boxing. There's a ton of real ones in boxing. And MMA, you got like Jorge Masvidal. He's just another guy up in boxing where everybody's all tripping out. It's like we need more of that in MMA, I think, to get the sport to the next level with just people improving on their fight skills.
Yeah, ultimately, a persona and characters can only carry you so far. Your skills do have to do the rest, and it's hard because Conor McGregor definitely introduced this kind of this personality era, and it's more towards the WWE thing where everyone feels like they got to do something to be different. Me, I don't have to do things to be different. I'm already different than most other fighters. One, I'm 6'5", 290 pounds walking around. Two, like, I've got a degree. Hey,
me and you the same. Me and you the same boat, brother. We the same boat. check. I didn't play professional athlete though. You got me though. I played college.
Yeah. So I don't have to do a whole lot to be different. I just being myself is different than most people. And another thing is I'm not gonna change who I am for anyone. Yeah, more money would be nice, but carrying on a persona like that all the time, that's exhausting. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to always, be wild, throwing shit, or fucking going out here, yelling, screaming obscenities towards people, talking about people's race, religion, and all that. I don't need to do that. If we're gonna fight, I don't need to motivate you to fight more. If you're not in there, if you're not mentally in it when we step in the cage, that's great for me. It's an easy night for me. I'm not trying to make you more pissed off to fight harder. Now, this dude, obviously, I don't care about because I don't care how angry he is. He's never gonna be good enough to beat me.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, so it's another thing, like a little side story, I guess. I don't know if it really matters to you or at all, but is there any gonna be like this, hey, we have the same nickname, so whoever wins this fight, the loser can no longer use his nickname.
I thought he was Prince of War though.
He did change it, but recently he changed it. But he was the Kraken during his football days and everything,
I don't care. Obviously, I'm still gonna go by the same name. I'm a creative dude. Like I can fucking make any nickname out there work for me. Him
What about
clearly,
Crochet Boss?
huh?
What about Crochet Boss? Can you make that work for you?
The Shake Boss.
The Crochet Boss, like you were Maurice.
Yeah, I could make that work. They made a crochet romper. I'd walk around in that. I don't care. But for me, yeah, that doesn't play that big of a role in it. I've already come up with a bunch of, different phrases and stuff, different lifestyle things I do with the name Kraken. But before that, people called me the Chosen One, little stuff like that. So I can always make stuff up. Clearly, he's not very creative because the Prince of War is probably the dumbest nickname I've ever heard. Like he was probably playing PS4 and was like, "Oh, I can't call myself the God of War." So,
Man, y'all got me want to go say Tony just for the one-liners, boy. Y'all got me rolling.
Told you, man. Told you.
And the funny thing is, y'all both probably got some kid folks that crazier than y'all.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. I can't wait for this fight because, hell, obviously, you like you were saying, the size of you, man, like you got people interested in you just because of how big you are in the cage, So it's like, man, like, it's kind of a throwback in a way to like the early days of MMA when it was like you had these huge mismatches where it's like, oh dang, this dude is gigantic, and like he's fighting some other dude that looks like he's like a lightweight, But obviously, so it's kind of like, oh man, this dude is gigantic. Like you still get that like, that kind of like shock factor of just appearance in itself. You're like, man, what is this dude gonna do? So that's why I got intrigued the first time I saw you fight. I was like, damn, this dude's got Jesus, like, and then you went in there, handle your business. So that's what I'm excited to see, and of course the fact that there is all this bad blood that you've been calling him out on Twitter, all this stuff for however long. It's a nice build up, man. I can't wait to see the payoff.
Yeah, me either. I'm gonna whoop his ass and take his money.
Yeah, man. So you where did you do most of your training for this fight?
I stayed in Houston for it. I had already scheduled a vacation for after my last fight to Iceland and Norway. So, and I went to a jiu-jitsu camp for a week right before that. All that stuff was non-refundable. So I went anyway. When we were in Iceland, I went to Mjolnir at Gunnar Nelson's gym for a little bit. Then out in when we were in Norway, focused a lot on my strength and conditioning. And they had we went to this one gym, paid the membership, and they had a MMA room upstairs. So one of my coaches was there with me. He just held pads for me. We did some drills and worked on all that, focused on keeping my weight down. And then when we came back, we hit the ground running again. So we didn't really lose any time here, and I just felt real good. I've been feeling good, like I've made steady improvements in all areas of my game.
That's dope. That's dope. So, did you catch the fights last night?
Yeah, man. That's one of those cards, like, I didn't want to be around a bunch of casuals for, so I bought it and watched it. Like, literally, it was me.
You sound like this fool right here.
Yes.
This fool right. We got a show to promote. This MF can't promote the show. Nah, man. I wouldn't be one of those crazy people that be saying stuff. Man, I'm gonna stay in my house. It's street.
Much, man. I stayed at home and I really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed the fights. There was one like for the Masvidal fight because my chick, she wanted to just watch the Nunez and Holm fight. So I was texting her, like she was driving over, and I was like sending the text, oh yeah, you should have some time. This fight should go a while. Then I heard the knee connect, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh shit, this shit's over. Yeah, you better hurry up and get here.
Have you ever seen like? Do you watch when you're not fighting or somebody you might fight? Do you ever watch like post fight? Did you see his post fight, Jorge?
I did watch his post-fight interview. That shit was hilarious.
As a fighter, does that like the fact that he planned out everything from the hands behind the back against the cage to execute the knee? Does that like get you amped up? Just like he's that damn cerebral, that much of a killer, and he executed it. He would just I wanted to do this and that. He actually did it.
Yeah, that is crazy because when I fight, I don't go into that much detail. We practice so many different things to make it just muscle memory because me, I'm an emotional dude. So if I'm in there and like I get pissed off, like I'm just gonna go and whatever happens, happens. So it's got to be second nature for me at that point. If I'm calm or whatever, then I can adapt during the fight. But most of the time, I'm just like, nah, I want to fuck this dude up. So that was crazy to me that he went through all that. With all the dislike that he had for him. That was cool. That was real cool.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So I got to ask you about this one tweet that you sent out the other day, which I thought was hilarious. If people don't follow Juan on Twitter, he is at chosen1 285, and you tweeted this out, and I need to dive into this because you said you're what size? What is it? 6'5", 2? What is it?
6'5", and I'm like 280 right now.
Okay, so keep that in mind as I'm reading this tweet out there, people. My Thai coach is going to have to hold pads in the gym parking lot because there is a big-ass spider in the gym. I'm not fucking going in there.
Bro. Fucking aggressive as fuck.
So you have a fear of spiders, I take it, right?
I fucking hate them. And I was sitting in there chilling. I was actually doing my warm-ups and shit, and I saw it fucking come in the door. And I got big-ass hands. This thing was at least half the size of my hand. And
shit.
And I knew what it was. Like, I didn't think it was venomous or any of that. It was a wolf spider. But, like, that shit bites you, it'll still fucking hurt. Like, I don't care if it's got venom or not. And it just fucking looked at me. And it was right by my bag and stuff. So I went over there and I unplugged the clock and everything. Like, I'm trying to put out the door. And it came towards me instead of going out the door. So I ran back on the mat and, like, I didn't run, like, to the side. I ran, like, around that motherfucker and, like, grabbed my shit, threw it in my car, and I just closed the fucking door. Like, the little rack where the gloves and shit are, where the gloves and pads and all that are, and it was just in there. But it's, like, this dark-ass corner. There's, like, weights on the floor. Like, you can't see the floor over there. And I'm like, nah, I'm like, fuck that. That's not the move today. I turned the light off and I was just fucking sitting in the parking lot.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Fucking parking lot. I had my shoes on and everything. And our coach walked in and was like, it's hot as fuck. I'm not doing this in the parking lot. And the whole time I'm just like watching that little corner of the room and I'm like stepping extra heavy on the mat in case it crawled underneath there. Like I was not feeling it that day.
See, I learned to take your advice, man. I've been adding to my workouts. I've been dropping some LBs. When I get done walking, I get done working out. I've been lifting. I do my elliptical or treadmill for about 40 minutes, and then I would trail out walk. It's 1.5 miles. That walking will come in handy after at the end of the workout. So appreciate that tip.
Yeah, it helps a lot, and it's weird. People don't think about it, but people always think you have to do these drastic things to lose a lot of weight, and it's really not. For me, like this camp, the difference between stopping my weight gain at like 288 as opposed to getting up to 305 was, going from partying all the time to drinking maybe twice a week and then not eating bad meals every time it was offered. I would have one really bad meal a day, and then the rest of the day I would just eat normal or decrease my portion size a little bit. And now, like, once we get in fight camp, I stopped drinking. Any juice that I drink is, like, 100% pressed or whatever, but I don't drink stuff with a lot of added sugar.
So no Powerade for you?
Huh?
No Powerade for you? Or no Gatorade?
No, Powerade and Gatorade are fine, but I'll do, like, Gatorade Zero. Or Body Armor Light is another one that I do, but something that it's as simple as going from something that would normally be 150 to 200 calories to something that's like 20 to 50 calories right there.
What do you do for your cardio? How much cardio you do a day?
It's weird. I don't really do it the way a lot of people like. We have specific workouts set up for cardio, but with when I'm going for just a pad session, there's a lot of cardio incorporated into that. When I go do boxing in the morning, it's from 5 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. And there's cardio incorporated the entire time there. It's 3-minute rounds with 30 seconds rest in between. So that's a cardio workout in and of itself. And then after that, I'll go for a run. And my run, it's a 3-mile run. But rather than just do it at a constant pace, I'm doing sprint jog for 3 miles. So I'll sprint for as long as I can, then jog until I feel like I can sprint again. And that was a big difference because before I would just walk every day as opposed to run. But now I run 4 times a week and walk 3 times a week, and that helps a lot. So it's just little things here and there. I went from doing 4 strength and conditioning sessions a week to 5. So 2 of those are dedicated to pure cardio, and the other 3 are either athletics or power programming based. And then, when I spar, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my schedule on a Tuesday is I get up at the boxing gym at 5 a.m. Then I've got strength and conditioning at noon. Then I go to a wrestling practice from 3 to 4:30, and then I take another break, and then at 7:30 p.m. I'm sparring again. And no,
being from Houston.
Derek doesn't really. Derek's recovering from a knee surgery, and 2, he's very particular about who he trains with and stuff. Mm-hmm. For me, a lot of the stuff that I do, because I hit hard, so I don't do a whole lot of hard sparring really. I do a lot of technical work. That's one thing we really wanted to fix this time around. So I've been working a lot of technique, and when I spar, even if I'm sparring with a slower person or a smaller person, my focus is all hand speed. It's I'm working, punching in the right spot. Because before, I was doing a lot of unorthodox things that I could just get away with because I was so big and so athletic. But we're going back down, to really just brass tacks and extreme basics, extreme fundamentals, and trying to break some of the bad habits I had and build good habits.
Hey, before win or lose, we're gonna make a trip to Houston and get you on the film because we better start hitting up these gyms. It's like we live in too big of a state not to be hitting up these gyms and getting some behind the scenes stuff of y'all. Like we live right up the street from Fortis, MMA in Dallas, and then y'all doing y'all thing down there in H-Town, and I know some cash train out in San Antonio and Austin. So we better start. You might see these 2 brothers, our black behinds up in these gyms.
Yeah, for sure, man. That'd be cool. I can get y'all passes at all the gyms I go to. So.
Sounds like a plan, man. Yeah, we work on that for sure. So before we get you out of here, man, do you have a prediction for how it goes down on July 20th, or are you just gonna be like, hey, how it goes is how it goes?
My goal is to make this full tap to strikes. That's my goal. I want them to tap to strikes in the first round.
All right, okay. Hey, that's one we don't get very often. So hey, if that happens, man, that'd be incredible. Well, Juan, thanks for coming on the show, man. I will be seeing you down in San Antonio. I'll be down there for the fights.
Good luck.
And yeah, man, good luck for this fight, man. Can't wait to see it.
No problem, man. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
All right, appreciate the time, brother.
No problem.